In 2023, the credit card industry in the United States generated approximately $180 billion in total revenue. $180 billion in a single year from a financial product that most of its users believe they understand. A product so normalized, so deeply woven into the fabric of daily commercial life, that the average American carries 3 of them and uses them for the majority of their consumer spending without ever spending a meaningful amount of time thinking about exactly how the companies issuing those cards generate that $180 billion in annual revenue, and whose money it ultimately comes from. The answer to that question is not complicated. It comes from cardholders, from the people carrying those 3 cards, from specific, documented, well-researched behaviors that credit card companies have studied, optimized around, and in many cases deliberately engineered their products to encourage. From a system that, when you understand its mechanics completely, looks less like a financial service and more like a carefully designed extraction machine, one that generates extraordinary profits from the inattention, the behavioral tendencies, and the financial circumstances of the people who use it. The good news is that understanding the machine is the first step to operating on the right side of it. Every revenue stream the credit card industry relies on has a corresponding counter strategy that turns the mechanism against the company and in favor of the cardholder. The people who do this are not gaming the system in some illegitimate way. They are simply understanding the rules well enough to play by them correctly, which produces the outcome the system was designed to prevent for most of its participants. Today, we are going to understand the machine completely. And then we are going to build the counter strategy that makes you the house in a game that was built to make you the player. Welcome to Klux One Finance. Let us get into it. Credit card company revenue comes from 4 primary streams, and they are not equally visible or equally understood by the average cardholder. Understanding all 4 is essential because the counter strategy needs to address each one specifically to be complete. The first and largest revenue stream for most card issuers is interest and finance charges. We have covered credit card interest mechanics in detail in a previous video, so I will not go deep on the mechanics here. The essential point in the context of this revenue discussion is the scale. In 2023, American consumers paid approximately $130 billion in credit card interest. $130 billion. From a single financial product used in daily consumer spending. That number represents the single largest source of revenue for the credit card industry, and it flows almost entirely from one specific cardholder behavior, carrying a balance from one month to the next, rather than paying the statement balance in full. What makes this revenue stream so reliably enormous is not that credit card companies are forcing anyone to carry balances. It is that the entire product design, from the minimum payment structure to the statement format to the credit limit setting, is calibrated to make carrying a balance the path of least resistance for a significant portion of cardholders in a significant portion of months. The minimum payment is the most visible example of this calibration. A minimum payment of $25 or 2% of the balance on a $3,000 balance at 24% APR sounds like a manageable obligation. $25 is not a scary number, but $25 on a $3,000 balance at 24% leaves approximately $59 of interest accruing during the month you paid it. Your net balance after the minimum payment is not $3,000 minus $25. It is $3,000 minus $25 plus $59 in new interest. Your balance grew by $34 despite making a payment. You have been making a payment and falling further behind simultaneously in the statement presentation, which shows the minimum due prominently and the total payoff timeline in fine print that regulations require but design actively discourages from being noticed, is specifically arranged to make the minimum payment feel like the appropriate response rather than the catastrophic financial mistake that it actually is for anyone carrying a balance. The counter strategy for interest revenue is the one we have already covered in full. Pay your statement balance completely by the due date every single month, maintain the grace period, and give the interest revenue stream $0 to work with. A credit card company earns nothing in interest from a cardholder who pays in full every month. The revenue stream exists only because most cardholders do not. The second revenue stream is interchange fees, and this is the one that most cardholders have never heard of, despite its enormous scale, and despite the fact that it directly funds the rewards programs that cardholders value most. Every time you use a credit card to make a purchase, the merchant accepting the payment pays a fee to the card network and the issuing bank. This fee, the interchange, typically ranges from 1.5% to 3.5% of the transaction amount, with premium rewards cards sitting at the higher end of the range because the issuer needs more revenue per transaction to fund the elevated rewards being paid to the cardholder. In 2023, interchange fees generated approximately $90 billion globally. Merchants pay it. Card networks and issuers collect it. And merchants have essentially no ability to opt out of the system because refusing to accept cards means losing the overwhelming majority of consumer spending that flows through card networks. The merchant's options are accept the card and pay the fee, or refuse to accept cards and lose the customers. In a world where the majority of consumer spending is card-based, refusing cards is not a viable business decision for most merchants, which is why the interchange system continues to operate at its current scale, despite occasional regulatory pressure and merchant protests. The portion of interchange that flows to the issuing bank funds the rewards programs that make premium credit cards attractive. This is why rewards cards have higher interchange rates than no rewards cards. The higher interchange funds, the higher rewards. And it is why the credit card rewards ecosystem exists at all. The merchant is subsidizing your miles, your cash back, and your points through the interchange fee paid on every transaction. Cardholders using high reward cards are essentially extracting a subsidy from the merchant ecosystem funded by every transaction they make. The counter strategy for interchange from the cardholder's perspective is not to reduce their interchange cost, that is a merchant problem, but to maximize the rewards flowing from the interchange that the issuing bank collects. Using a card with the highest possible rewards rate for every purchase means the cardholder captures the maximum possible share of the interchange revenue generated by their spending. Using the wrong card one with lower rewards rates in a given category means leaving interchange-funded rewards on the table. The card stacking strategy we covered in detail in earlier videos is the complete implementation of this counter strategy. The third revenue stream is fees, and this category encompasses several distinct fee types that collectively represent a significant and growing portion of credit card company revenue. Annual fees are the most visible. Late payment fees are the most punishing. Foreign transaction fees are the most ignorable in domestic use and the most expensive in international travel. Return payment fees, cash advance fees, and balance transfer fees round out the category. Annual fees generate meaningful revenue primarily from cardholders who pay them without capturing equivalent value and benefits. A cardholder paying a $550 annual fee on a premium card who uses the $300 travel credit, the lounge access, the dining credits, and the other benefits fully is contributing little net profit to the issuer from the annual fee. The benefits cost more to provide than the fee generates. A cardholder paying the same $550 fee who never activates the travel credit, never visits an airport lounge, and only uses the card for generic spending at 1 point per dollar is contributing most of the $550 fee as pure profit. The issuer earns more from inattentive premium cardholders than from attentive ones. Late payment fees are where the fee revenue picture becomes genuinely troubling because they are structured in a way that concentrates the most cost on the least financially stable cardholders. A $30 late fee on a missed payment is a significant percentage of the minimum payment it was supposed to be. The cardholder who misses a payment is almost always doing so because of cash flow stress rather than because they forgot or did not care. And the late fee adds to the financial pressure that caused the missed payment in the first place. Beyond the late fee, many cards trigger a penalty APR, sometimes as high as 29.99% for a single late payment. which can remain in effect for a period of months. Card design, rewards program architecture, spending notification timing, credit limit setting, and the language of statements have all been refined through extensive behavioral research and user testing to maximize specific cardholder behaviors that generate revenue. Understanding the psychological levers the industry pulls allows you to recognize when one is being pulled and to make a more deliberate decision about how to respond. The most powerful psychological mechanism in rewards programs is what behavioral economists call the decoupling of spending from payment. When you swipe a credit card, the payment does not happen at the moment of purchase. It happens weeks later when the statement arrives. This temporal separation between spending and payment reduces the psychological pain of spending in a way that cash payment does not. Studies consistently show that people spend more, tip more generously, and experience less purchase regret in the moment when paying by card versus cash. Precisely because the card decouples the act of spending from the immediate financial consequence of it. Credit card companies know this. The entire business model benefits from it. The counter strategy for decoupling is to consciously reconnect spending to financial consequence in real time. Check your balance daily. Use real-time notifications for every transaction. Review your spending against your budget weekly, rather than waiting for the monthly statement. These practices reintroduce the awareness of financial consequence at the moment of spending, rather than allowing it to arrive as a monthly surprise, and they meaningfully reduce the tendency toward overconsumption that the decoupling mechanism produces. Rewards programs themselves are psychological tools as well as financial ones. The accumulation of points creates what behavioral economists call a pseudo-currency that feels different from dollars. Spending points does not feel like spending money in the same way that paying cash or even seeing a card transaction does. This psychological distance from the real cost makes people more willing to redeem points for lower value options than they would accept if they were comparing the cash cost directly. The counter strategy is to always calculate the real dollar value of what you are redeeming before you redeem. Compare it to the best alternative use of those points. And never let the pseudo-currency psychology cause you to accept a redemption value below what the points are actually worth. Credit limit setting is another area where behavioral research clearly influences industry practice. Issuers set credit limits high enough to ensure cardholders can spend freely without hitting the limit. Because limit approaches trigger spending friction, and spending friction reduces transaction volume and thus interchange revenue. A higher credit limit also increases the potential balance a cardholder can carry, increasing the potential interest revenue. The cardholder counter strategy is to treat your credit limit as a number that has no relationship to how much you should actually spend on the card. Your spending is governed by your budget, not by your limit. So what does the complete counter strategy look like when you implement all of it simultaneously? It looks like this. You pay your full statement balance every month, giving the interest revenue stream zero. You use the highest rewards card for every purchase in every category, maximizing your capture of interchange-funded rewards. You use no annual fee cards where the benefits do not exceed the fee, and you actively use every benefit on fee-carrying cards so the issuer earns minimal net profit from your annual fee. You pay every bill on time through autopay so late fees never occur. You travel internationally with no foreign transaction fee cards exclusively. You track your spending in real time to counteract the decoupling psychology. You calculate point values before every redemption to prevent the pseudo-currency effect from producing below-value redemptions. Each of these behaviors individually reduces the revenue the credit card company earns from your account. Together, they create a cardholder profile that is about as unprofitable for the card issuer as a cardholder can be while still holding the card. The irony of this profile is that it is also the profile of the cardholder who earns the most from the card, because the rewards generated by interchange on your spending flow to you rather than being offset by interest, fees, and behavioral manipulation losses. The credit card industry built a machine designed to generate $180 billion per year from people who do not understand it. The people who do understand it are the ones who make that machine work for them rather than against them. Today you understand it. The machine did not change. Your position within it just did. Subscribe to Clux One Finance if you have not already. Hit the bell notification. Share this video with someone who needs to see what the credit card industry does not want them to know. And I will see you in the next one.